So I make a lot of soap, like just in general, every day, because I'm a professional soap maker. And I make soap for the channel. I show you some of the soap making because it's every day. And sometimes I get very confused. And my notes for today's video says large batch equals split. And I have no idea what that means and what I'm supposed to be talking about. So I'm going to send you to an intro and I will figure it out while you're watching that. But before I send you to said intro, hello, I am Mrs. Soap and Clay. I think let's make stuff. How's it going, sudsers? Welcome back to the channel. You are at Soap and Clay, where we make all the soapy things, and you are here for day 288 of 365 days of soap. And yeah, large batch equals split. That's what we're doing today. Checked it. Just had to. Yes, so I get a lot of questions, and I also see a lot of questions just on the interwebs about the best way to tackle really large batches of soap, right? And that is definitely something that once you start scaling up, you should be concerned with for sure, because soap in its fluid stage, it's great. You can do so many things with it or whatever, but if you're pouring several hundred bars of soap at once, yeah, things in the big pot, they tend to start thickening up. And so it makes your pour very difficult, especially if you're wanting to do swirls and all of the things. And so for me, for my part, I always recommend, doing it the way that I do it, which is what makes sense in my brain. And that's what I'm showing you today. Now I'm actually showing you that today with a smaller batch. It's only about 24 bars. So it's not a big batch at all, but the same concept can be multiplied into bigger batches as well. So I'm going to be working with the Musca foam, which we've made on the channel before, but I'm making this one for a wholesale account here in Tacoma. So we will talk about the pour and the splitting of the batch and the best way to handle large batches, in the video. So let's go check that out. So this is actually a question that gets asked a lot on forums as well as, within the shop and during master classes and all of that jazz. And what is the best way to tackle big batch soap making? Because the big concern is, if you have all the molds to make, say, 300 soaps, right? But you're doing a layered soap, or in this case, a layered soap with a drop swirl on top, the biggest concern is being able to control the fluidity of your batter so you can get through this before everything starts setting up into a big gloppy mess. Also, another point of concern is how big of a container you have to make soap in, right? So, you can go for the containers to any number of things. You saw me do the master batch with the oils in like a 5-gallon bucket, actually more than a 5-gallon bucket, but you can do that. That totally works. You can definitely make soap in that and just get like a long paddle attachment for like a drill and do it that way. And let's say you're able to make a batch size of, 20 pounds that way, but you have to make 40 pounds of soap. And again, like in this case, one part of it is a layer and the other part is drop swirls. So the easiest way to do it is to split the batch into manageable sections. So, and I'm not showing you like giant big batch form and all of this because I don't even know how I would begin to film that, because that takes up like the entire counters and all of the counters, and there's just it's a big old thing. You literally have your 5-gallon bucket out and you're mixing your oils and your lye and everything in those. So I don't exactly know how to film that. So I'm showing you a 24 bar batch, which is not a big batch, but you can still do the exact same thing for that whenever you need, for a smaller batch, whenever you need to control fluidity too. Split the batches into different sections. That makes sense. And so for this is a 3-pound batch going into the mold, because half of the bar is a solid color red. And I want that layer to set up really nicely. And so I just made that layer. I calculated my recipe in such a way that this is the amount I need for my bottom layer. And so that is what I'm doing. And then that will firm up while I am creating the soap to be poured on top of it for layer 2. And so I don't have to worry about it breaking through the layer and having any problems with that. So let's go check out the second layer with the drop swirls. Now for the second layer here, again, this is the soap is firming up in the mold nicely and doing its thing, and then it is time to, once the lye is cooled for my second batch, again it is a 3-pound batch of soap, it is time to do the soapy soap thing for that, and you know, just do the thing. And so that's what we're gonna do. And with this particular soap, again, it's just a 24 bar batch, and so it's not actually big, but it shows you essentially what you can do with things like this. And so, you know, that's what we're doing here. And this is again a 3-pound batch with drop swirls. Sorry, I'm super distracted right now. I should stop trying to multitask. Yes, so we're going to keep the batter nice and fluid with all of this, but I'm also not going to worry about pouring it too carefully into the mold, right? Because the bottom layer has already set up so much that, you know, we should be golden for all of that. So that is the thinking and the thought process behind it all. And it really, again, it makes your soaping much easier throughout your whole process. So you're not super stressing, and by the time you actually get to your top layer, it's not just a really thick batter of, you know, batch of soap, because it does take time to pour 300 bars of soap, right? That does legitimately take time. And so if you had the capability, assuming you had the capability to even do that, great, but you, in the process of getting it into the mold and doing all of the things, everything would be hardening up. And so you're going to be dealing with much thicker soap batter by the time you're all done with all of your things. And also, this is just a good tip for, you know, whenever you're wanting to do really crisp lines, and be it layers or slanted layers or angles or, you know, whatever, or something like with the Bob Ross with Georgia May, when she did the Bob Ross painting, she did that in multiple stages of soaps. And so she actually made different batches of soaps when she needed them in her pour, and it worked out really well. I've shown you, you know, essentially splitting the batches into little teeny tiny batches too, if you're doing, like when I've done the Harry Potter bars, the slanted layers for all the layers that become diagonal, that as well. This is an easier way to control the soap batter as well as your stress levels. And so I'm here for that. Now, this is all getting poured at a very, very thin trace here, light trace. It's so beautiful. I'm actually really excited for this, because this is actually the Muscafoam, and I think I've done the Muscafoam on the channel before, but I like messing with the design of the Muscafoam anytime I pour it. And so this is a time when I'm going to mess with it a little bit. So it's still going to be the red on the bottom like it always is. It's delicious wine blend. It has wine in the actual lye instead of the water, all of the things. But I'm going to play with some drop swirls for this, just to do it, because I love playing with the design of the Muscafoam whenever possible. And so that totally works. And my camera has lost its mind right now. Yeah, so for a drop swirl, you kind of start high and you pour into a nice thin batter, and then you bring your beaker, your container, closer to the surface during the second pass. And for this one, I start very high on the left-hand side there, because I want that particular drop swirl to go farther down in the soap. And the other one on the upper right, that pour, that actually starts out very close to the surface, because I don't want that drop swirl to be as far down, you know, the length of the bar. So if that makes sense. I mean, you'll see it in the cut. I think, probably. And assuming that it, you know, got done right. And you never know with that, so we'll see. But yeah, this is such a fun pour. Drop swirls are actually really a lot of fun. It's something that I don't do a ton of, but when I do, I just find it so satisfying and just enjoyable. This idea of creating these really cool, well, essentially, well, drops, like paint drops, like, you know, whatever, inside soap is just, I'm just always here for that, for sure. And so this will then get covered with the remaining soap batter. I'm not going to do anything like with skewers or hangers or whatever. You don't ever do that for a drop swirl. It's to actually change the inside, you know, swirl, because that sort of defeats the purpose of a drop swirl. And this is one of the soaps that actually a drop swirl can be achieved a number of ways. You can do it with a thin batter, you can do it with a medium trace batter. Thick batter makes it a little bit more complicated to actually control the design and what you're wanting to do with it. So, I mean, that's just something to keep in mind for all of that, for sure. And yeah, then the rest gets put on the top, and then we do a cute little swirl on the top of it. And a few days ago, I was actually talking about the slab mold, right? That Georgia May had done, and for the rimmed soap. And I was oohing and awing over the beautifulness that she had put on the top with her skewering skills. And as I was pouring this, I was actually thinking about that video and the comments that I had made. The whole, you know, we can't help ourselves with the messing with the, you know, soap batter and continuing to swirl, because that right there is so pretty, right? It's so pretty. I should just be done and leave it alone. Right there. And of course I'm not, because we can't help but mess with our soaps. But this is ready to be put in the oven for seed pop, and then we can check out the cool drop swirls that are inside of this. And now onto the cut of this beautiful loaf of soap. Everything looks nice. It's so shiny. I'm super happy about that. And yeah, that looks good. It has a little bit of browning, but that's to be expected because it's actually a wine soap, and so there's always a little bit of browning with that, and that's actually part of the design anyway for the Musca foam, so it all works out well. And let's check out the inside of this and see what these swirls look like. Those are pretty. Oh my god. Yeah, so that's what I meant about pouring high, and see how the soap that's on the left there, the drop that's on the left, that was on the left of that bar, it's bigger and it goes down further than the others, and that's the whole thing with that. So I poured that one higher, so it went down further, but also it spread out more because of the additional layers that I put, you know, on top. And so, you know, yeah, that's all the things, and they're all super gorgeous. You can do so many things with this. You can do the for the soaps like that could have been a cool apple themed soap, or a pear themed soap, or any number of things. Drop swirls are beautiful. There are whole ass soap companies that's their whole line, or just beautiful drop swirls, and I can see why, because they are very stunning. It's very simplistic in the design, but just pack such a good punch visually, like just so lovely. And then you still get the sort of differences in all the soaps as well, which is good. Like, because I like the variation. That's why I like swirls so much. But yeah, no, I mean, there's nothing really complicated to making big batch forms. Again, I showed you a small batch to do it, but it's the same concept. You just measure out, you know, calculate out how much soap you're going to need for each layer, for each portion, for each bit, and make that much soap. And then make the next round. So all fresh batches of soap. throughout the entire thing, it allows you to control everything much, much better, and it leads to a more enjoyable soaping experience and also less chance for failure, because when you're talking 300 bars, yeah, you really don't want to mess any of those up. And that is day 288, drop swirls, big batch soaping, all of the jazz. Okay, and there it is. That's probably the easiest way that I have found. It's the least stressful way for sure to really tackle giant batches of soap. So if you know that you're doing layers, mix up enough soap for that first layer. If you know that you're doing a swirl in the middle, just separate your finished product into manageable stages, and while you are making the next round of soap to go over the top, everything is firming up in the mold nicely. It's beautiful. You don't have to worry about the soap in the mold getting too firm to pour on top of. You don't have to worry about separation like you would with like a melt and pour layer, for example. That's not really how soap works within the first couple days. So yeah, you could actually theoretically leave soap for literal days and then pour on top of it, and it's still going to adhere very nicely because awesome. So yeah, that's totally how I recommend tackling big batches of soap for everybody who is like scaling up or wanting to scale up in their business. Keep that in mind. Do the thing for sure. Yeah, I hope you guys had a good time today. I hope you learned some stuff and all of the jazz. If you did, you know, hit the subscribe button, do the things. That would be awesome. For those of you who have hit that subscribe button, hey, thanks. You're awesome. Thank you so much for joining me for another round of 365 days of soap. As always, I appreciate each and every one of you. I'm out of here for today. Hopefully my notes will be better for tomorrow. I will see you then. Bye.